we can maybe start. Today's December 1st,
Right.
and 2012.
Right.
And we're here interviewing, and if you could give your first and last names.
Kazuko Kazi Miyoshi
Okay, and you're right now living
in Manhattan Beach.
in Manhattan Beach.
I'm Yasuko Miyoshi Iseri, and I live in Gardena.
I'm Chiharu Koro Kitagawa, and I'm living in Carpinteria.
Okay. Now, is that your married name or your
No, it's
maiden?
my original name.
Oh, very good. And yourself?
I'm married.
Okay, and you're...
Iseri is, yeah,
is
but
the-
we were Miyoshis.
I see. Okay.
And my maiden name is Koro,
Oh,
but
okay.
my married name is Kitagawa.
Very good. Very good. Okay. And I understand you were in Block
8.
8, and you were in Block 14? Is
No,
that your
we
family?
were originally in 13, and then we moved to 36.
Oh, okay. Okay. And about how old were you?
I was 5.
Fine. Okay. And can you tell me a little bit about your family before you went into camp?
There was mother, father, 2 brothers, and 1 sister. So there were 4 children and parents.
And your parents, where were they born?
My father was born in Ehime-ken, Japan, and my mother was born in Honolulu.
And what kind of work did they do?
They did farming, nursery,
He had a
bigger
business.
seedlings,
Ah, and where was
commercial,
that?
in Venice.
In
More
Venice. Did he own his own nursery?
No,
or
he
farm?
didn't
Was
own it, he
neighbor?
was leased. It
Ah,
was leased,
leased.
and
Business was his own, 'cause
it was his business, but he
he
didn't own the land.
property, because you couldn't own property.
That's
under any
right,
law.
that's right. But it was his business.
It was his
And
business.
do you remember the name of his business?
I have a business card, and I think he only had it under his name, F.S. Miyoshi.
I see, I see. And before the family went to camp, do you know whether there was any news that there were tensions already in the
No,
neighborhood?
I will
in the
tell you that it
community?
was very unusual that they never spoke about the war or tension or anything. We were kind of living in a bubble, I guess, because they never talked about it. And, so we were fat, dumb, and happy.
Not in front of us, anyway.
Yeah.
We never
We
were
never
aware.
knew.
I
Were you? Did you
I
know?
was not aware.
Yeah, I think they kept it from the children.
Yeah.
And how old were you when? you
I
went
was 3, gonna be 4, right?
Yeah.
Well, when we
No, I was
actually,
36,
1942.
No, I was
Yeah.
6.
Yeah,
So
she
you
was
were
6,
4.
I was
You're
4.
6. I
Gonna be
see.
4 that year. Because we went in April.
Right.
And your relationship
Sisters.
with sisters. And how old were you when you had gone?
I must have been 5, because if we went to camp in April, my birthday's in July, so
Okay, okay. So you were also pretty young.
5.
And your
We were in
family?
kindergarten together.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, there.
Betsy Ross.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah,
Over there.
So you have recollections of
She-
going
Yes,
she has
there's
the best
another
memory.
friend that was born in the same year, 1936, and so the 3 of us went to kindergarten, then we went to camp, then we came out, and then we met up again in grammar school, huh? At Betsy Ross.
Yeah. I didn't have any classes with you, though.
No.
At Betsy
But you
Ross.
were in
Well, except Mrs. Merton's class.
that 6th grade.
Well, she was a mean teacher. Oh, yeah.
You were up there, Delano or Central California, Fresno, somewhere
Oh,
like that.
after camp?
Yeah,
Yeah, we went to Rich Grove.
but you didn't stay long.
No,
This is Rich Grove in
in California.
In
It's a
California.
little farming community. That's where we went after the camp.
I see, I
we didn't know about bad things, war or being alien or anything.
Now, did your family talk about camp at all, or did they also just...
No. They worked for a nursery in Culver City. Well, it was known as Venice, that area.
Mhm.
And they were working for this nursery. It was called Uchida Investment Company
Mhm.
at that time. And so we were all relocated to Manzanar. And lived there for what,
3 years.
3.5 years.
Mhm.
4 years, 3 or 4 years.
Do you
So, no.
Do you have any recollection of going to the camp?
No, I don't. I remember, I think we were on a big bus. It must have been a Greyhound bus.
Mhm.
With the shades pulled out.
I don't remember that either.
I do. I remember. We couldn't look out.
Mhm. Do you remember?
No, I don't. I don't know if it was going or coming, but the bus driver would stop at a roadside inn and he'd go into the signed cocktail. And it was coming back because I could read by then. And I thought, boy, he really likes that fruit. Cocktail was drinks. But what did you know as a kid?
Well, I remember riding on the big bus was really something of a thrill for me because I had never been, on a bus like that before.
On the trip.
Yeah.
Do you remember any toys that you had brought or anything that you left?
I want to tell them about there's a thing called tomatillo, you know what they are? They're little tiny green tomatoes. And they have this leaf thing on the outside. So
Mhm.
every afternoon, the Hozuki man, that's what it's called in Japanese, Hozuki man would come, and it was in a burlap sack. And it'd be about 2 or 3, right after school. And he would come and we would wait in a line to get this thing. And what you did was you massaged it until it got soft. And then you took a toothpick and you tried to get those seeds out of this little rim without breaking the rim. Yeah, and you pull all the seeds out, and that was really, the parents loved it because every kid is working on it. Of course, you cry when that thing breaks because
You only had one.
you only had one, and the whole purpose of it was you put this thing in your mouth, after you got all the seeds out, and you suck air into it, and then you make like passing gas.
Oh.
You put it like this. I can't do the noise, but you just push on it with your lip like this and your teeth, and it would make this noise. And you would treasure that little thing in water. Every night you blow it up, let the water get in there, and that's how you preserved it.
Oh.
And so every morning you wake up, you hope it's still there. But that was the fun of camp.
We didn't have toys.
One
playing
of
on the
those
bus.
memories of, of being a kid in camp.
I don't remember anybody coming around and giving us any. I thought we had to get our own.
No, this Hozuki man came.
No, I don't.
Yeah,
You don't
Charlie Brown
remember
and the
that?
great
Do you
big
remember him
pumpkin in the
coming?
sky.
Do you remember him coming?
No.
I do. It was a burlap sack. And
Did he say ho, ho, ho?
And
Take that off the
did he
camera.
have a farm where it was growing?
There-
There must
the-
have been
Evidently,
a garden?
yeah, there were, you know about the garden.
Well, in the camps, they had certain areas that were marked for a victory, like a victory garden,
Yeah.
where people just came from all around and
You had a
grew
plot.
vegetables and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so I remember there was 2 victory gardens. And I used to go, after our family moved to Block 36, which was the last block in the camp. And the reason why we moved there was because when we were in 13, there was 4 of us, my sister and my parents, mother and father, and myself. So there was 4 of us. But if you had 5, you could move into a bigger section. And when the Block 36 was opened, because that was the last to open, we could have gotten a bigger compartment if we had our uncle come and join us. And he was a bachelor at that time, and so they wanted to move to 36 with two bigger quarters, so that's why we moved to 36. So we stayed there until they started closing the camps.
I see. Now, when you were at the furthest point, getting to the mess hall or the bathrooms, was it arduous or was it close?
Well,
what do you have any recollection?
Well, if you don't have any, if you don't have a
Chamber pot.
bathroom, yes.
You had chamber pots.
Yeah,
And your mother
area
would
that-
empty it every morning.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So that was.
Because
some
you're little
hardship,
and you
but-
don't want to go walking to the middle of the block.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
But that was our toilet.
Yeah.
And the area, the things, other people that would come by with the tomatillo. What else were there any other people coming around?
No, the other thing I remember was we had a lot of, my mother had been able to give us gum. And so when the flavor would go out, you know, sugar was a commodity you didn't have. And so we would use those leaves, the mint leaves along the creek, and wrap it in that stale old gum. And
refresh it.
And it would be like, you remember chlorophyll gum would be kind of gooey? That texture from, you know, chewing on that. The orange with the powder puffs on it, yeah.
I had filled it with hosuki.
You gotta take it home.
Wait, were they already peeled?
No,
they were green?
Yeah, they were green, they were the tomatillos.
Yeah.
And so I packed them in there, and then we were gonna go to Rich Grove. So when they
You wrote to me from Rich Grove.
Did I? So anyway, so when I got there, I couldn't find that coney.
With the precious hosukis in there. They must have molded though, right?
I don't know. But
I mean, if
never
they were
found
still
them.
in there.
I'm sure they had survived the trip.
So this was before you left?
No, this
No,
is
this is
after
after
camp,
you were-
after
Yeah.
camp.
Just as
Oh.
we were going to leave, because now that I think about it, we were in 36, but when they started closing the camps, we moved to block 17.
Because people were leaving,
They
there were
had, you know, and
vacancies.
so they were closing up the camps instead of camp buildings. So we were closer to this Victory Garden, and so now people can just go over there and help themselves to whatever was left, you know, in the gardens. So I remember we used to pick those tomatillos that she talked about, the
Hosuki.
and I packed them in this little Cody cotton, Cody powder box that you see today with the little orange powder puffs on there. And so I had put in these fresh tomatillos in there. And then so, because we were going to be moved out to this place called Rich Grove. So, but when we got there, I couldn't find my little box of tomatillos.
They were such a precious commodity. Can you imagine? We would wait for this man to come and give you, and you never knew what you were going to get because you know how it's got that outer leaf around it.
Right.
So sometime it would be really big, you know, or really small, and small meant difficult to get the seed out. Because once you broke the rim, you're not going to get that passing air sound.
Because of the
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
but I remember the snow slide.
Oh, yeah.
Do you
It
remember
seemed
that?
so huge. And
Yeah, in the middle of our
Our
block,
there was
the
a-
vacant spot, there was a
Rings,
frame like
like
where you
gym-
could, you could hang
gymnastics.
onto the rings and swing. I was too small, but I mean, they had a frame, and with that
I would tell you it
frame-
was 25 feet high, but you know it wasn't 25
It's probably
feet
6
high.
feet, you know.
Yeah.
But we're little, so it appeared that way. And they built this huge compacted snow against that thing, and so we had a slide. How did we even get up there?
I think they had like a ladder or something in the back. to be
But I remember it because it was right in the middle. The latrines were here and washroom and so forth. But this was almost in front of us, huh?
Yeah.
Block 8. Yeah, it was huge.
One thing about Block 8, we had the canteen, so you could buy soda pop and
is that
candy.
Block
Did you
First
have
time
one?
I saw an M&M.
No, we had to go someplace to another block. I don't know where it
And
was.
we had the fish market,
Canteen.
Mm.
Yeah.
and what else did we have?
I remember the roller skating around that flagpole at the Manzanar. You know how the backside is
auditorium.
concrete? Well, we used to have to stand in line to buy tickets there. But I remember when it was vacant that somebody had skates because we would go over there And
Yeah,
the
they
only
shared.
place in the middle of the
Wasn't us.
desert that had concrete.
Well, do you remember that place where they had that big screen where we used to go watch
Outside.
movies
Yeah, outside,
And
yeah.
then we used to dig a
Dig a
hole so that we
So
could
that
lay
you-
there and
yeah.
watch the movies out
Oh
there,
my goodness.
outdoors.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Dig
Yeah.
a hole in
Because
the
it's
dirt
warm.
there.
Yeah,
It's
like
summer,
sand.
you know, it's
You know,
warm.
desert sand. And
Uh-huh.
so you-
It's warm and comfortable.
And we had scorpions in our basement. Now, come on, we
Yeah,
were laying in the
I know.
desert in the
Oh,
sand,
but black
watching the
widows and
movie.
scorpions, we had to
Yeah.
be careful.
Oh my goodness, now how did it come to be that you had a basement?
My father
And our
and the neighbor
Mr.
got together
Iwamasa.
and they built jointly. Now, how they disposed of the soil, we don't know.
Sylvia sees too many war movies, you know, like The Great Escape, and they
Yeah.
dig the sand and they put it in their trousers, and they walk and they
But
shuffle their feet.
The neighbor worked for,
What do you call
motor
motor pool.
Motor, so he may have had access to a truck.
He did have access.
So
to a
how
truck.
else would they have disposed of the soil? Because, you know, you've got to remember, it's a pretty good sized room because they had half of it
It
and we
wasn't
had
that
half.
big. It must
And-
So
have
as
been.
long as you don't disturb the foundation.
No, they didn't, because the house still stood when we left.
I didn't think of that.
But it was hot, so my mother would go
Sorry.
down there to iron. So one day she was down there and she hears this noise.
It was a
And-
scorpion.
No,
No.
so she, you know,
Somebody snuck
gets
in.
quiet, no, and she starts to iron and she hears that same rustling noise. So she went to peek between the boxes and it's a skunk.
Oh,
Scott.
in the
So-
middle of the
In the
desert?
middle of the desert. They're everywhere, they're very ubiquitous. So she closed the door and went out and waited for my dad to come home. And he came home and she told her, so the truck, they put a board and a box and got the skunk in there without
Oh,
Disturbing
spraying
it.
it. And they took it somewhere and let it out.
yeah.
Had to be careful.
And then remember, there used to be a lot of flint.
Yeah,
Yes,
chips,
Arrowhead.
the Indian, because this was Indian
Yes.
reservation.
Sometimes you would be lucky enough to find a
A
perfect
point,
one
yeah,
that,
a
you know,
pointed
wasn't
one.
broken.
I remember we saved a lot of those too. After the war, I remember little by little it got thrown away.
And then
but-
remember the water horse areas where they had the cement thing? Where the
The
horse,
trout,
they would,
the-
yeah.
Water the
feed-
horses.
Yeah, water the horses, and then they would say, there's a dead Indian.
And we go, did you hear that?
Now, did they let you go into the fields, or did you
Well,
help in the
we're
fields
all
at all?
surrounded by barbed wire.
And guards with the guns pointed in.
But we,
beginning.
in the summertime, I remember going up the creek, Barris Creek.
Yes.
I guess they
So they
let
must have let
then.
us out.
No, that was within the creek.
There
Was
was
in the
a
camp?
camp.
Oh.
Yes.
Because my
They
brother
had
and
a
them
nice
dammed
garden
it.
Was it
out
near
there.
you? Is
No,
that
it was
why?
on the other end.
Oh, by us? By Blockade?
No, you had to go towards the mountain.
Yeah, towards the
And
mountains,
then
but
there
it
was,
was on the more,
the trees are growing along the
if this
river.
is the highway and this is 36 here, it was way over here in this corner.
Opposite
And
corner.
remember they had apple trees? over
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's
And then they
Manzanita,
had a house
Who
They said
ate
it was
those apples and
haunted.
got sick? Somebody got a bad stomachache from eating
Oh.
apples.
I don't know.
And then above 36, there was another park. And I remember the park keeper had cages with, you know, eagles and different kinds of birds and things. So we used to go up there.
Yeah, there
Well,
was
that was too far.
one-legged
You would
raven.
have, you would be going the other
Other way.
direction.
And
But did you
Old Town
come
lived
to
there.
the auditorium to see the movies and stuff?
Mm-hmm.
You
I
guys
remember
were-
Roosevelt's funeral on
Oh,
film, newsreel,
Oh,
and they had a special service for him.
yeah.
Yeah, you
So
remember,
I've
we're
been
kids,
alive,
you know,
right.
we're children, this is
Mhm.
young.
Franklin Delano Roosevelt.
She has a good memory, because a lot of the
No,
stuff
it's
I
not as
wouldn't
good as it
remember.
used to be.
Do you remember anyone's reaction to it? How did